At the Office, Cleveland's home for sports talk that never clocks out. From the latest headlines to heated debates, we're diving into everything sports. It's your hosts, Noah, John, and Erik.
Cleveland, what is up? Welcome to another episode of At the Office, a show where three work buddies just get together to debate and discuss the top sports stories in Cleveland. Sometimes around the country and sometimes around the globe. Erik's a Premier League fan. We can talk cricket if you want to talk cricket. You never know what you're going to get. But
I don't want to talk cricket.
I'm the producer. I'm the host. Noah, shut up. I'm running the show today. No, we're not going to talk cricket. But whatever we talk, good news is you can join us too. So send us a comment, YouTube, Facebook, X. You can text or call the show now. Numbers right down at the bottom, 216-260-3433, 216-260-3433. Looking forward to getting into it with the guys. We got a great show lined up for you guys tonight, talking some Buckeyes and the coordinators, or lack thereof, or now we got one. It's been back and forth a lot over the last week. We're going to hit on Myles Garrett and some of the comments that he's been making on Media Row at the Super Bowl. We're going to talk Luka and AD trade, the NBA trade deadline, and more. But before we get too deep, got to say what's up to the guys. Noah and Erik, how we doing tonight?
Who's talking? It's a sad day in Cleveland still. We have the Myles Garrett stuff. Obviously, the Cavs just lost one. Not great, man. Not great.
Not great at all, man. A little bit better spirits about the Myles thing today as I've started to dive in and think about the value we could potentially get for him. Erik, I was trying to let you to go first because I made the cricket joke and John got mad, and then you didn't want to go first. So I apologize for that. But I'm feeling good. I'm feeling a little less heated as I was on our emergency meeting. And I'm ready to get into it with you boys.
Yeah. And he was heated. We'll get into that a little bit later. But Noah was in rare form. We'll talk more about that in a sec. How you doing, E?
I'm good, man. I'm a little surprised that he's not heated still, because the more I think about it, the more hot I get.
Just give it time, my friend. Just give it time.
I feel like time can heal all wounds, and it could also reopen them. If you're a Browns fan, it's just one day at a time, man. I don't know what else to say. We got some good stuff that we just talked about. We'll get a little bit deeper, but we want to start where we always start. 30-second takes. Let's get the banter going with a little warm-up exercise. Noah, you're going to go first, so we don't have to worry about that. Set the timer. Get yourself ready. But Ohio State has no coordinators, and then we hired a coordinator. Jim Knowles left for Happy Valley. If you saw the news that broke today or yesterday, it's because he's from Philly, and he always wanted to work at Penn State, which I get. And he thinks Penn State's close to a natty, which, even though I'm not the hater that Erik is on the coach, I don't think they're close to a natty. But either way, he's out. And then we lost Chip Kelly, who's going pro with the Tom Brady-led Raiders. Then today we learned we have a new offensive coordinator, Brian Hartline. There's all kinds of pieces moving. Noah, what are your initial reactions and what do you think?
Yeah, I'll put myself on the timer. John, I think you talked about everything already, so I don't know what to really hit on. I'm happy with the Hartline hire. I think he was the heir apparent to the offensive coordinator. Chip Kelly jumping ship kind of made sense. They got the national championship. He came, saw, did what he came to do, and I'm content with everything else. We're the Ohio State Buckeyes. At the end of the day, we're going to be all right. You know what I mean? And that's where I'm at with my 30-second take. Boom.
He had to hit the post. I love it. Throw it back up for our boy Erik. Noah. E, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, let's do it. First of all, I'm happy with the Hartline hire. What I hope is that he'll get the actual keys to the kingdom. I don't want this to be a backslide into Ryan Day play calling again. That makes me nervous. Let Hartline call the plays. I mean, he's done the thing. He's been a professional. Let him take over. We have the talent to allow him to do it. The other thing is, it's nothing but good news. Chip Kelly got $6 million. I think that says all you need to say. Come coach Ohio State, win a natty, and get your payday.
I love it. And Noah, if you want to throw it up one more time, my take won't even take 30 seconds, but it's twofold. One, I think in college football, the coordinators matter less. At Ohio State, I'm not going to say they don't matter. but it's a head coach driven organization, for lack of a better term. We got a good head coach. Weren't sure about it this time last year. We weren't sure about it this time last month, but we won a national championship. At the very least, it brought him some grace. Yeah, true. Erik stayed true. I got to give him props for that. But they'll get somebody. We'll be fine. I'm not too worried about it. And congrats to Chip Kelly for getting his bag.
I wanted to mute you just because you were you're playing host today and you were getting real close there, but I give you the extra credit for having the banter with Erik in the middle of your 30-second take. I should mute Erik for the rest of the show because of it, but
if you want to take that second out and mute Erik later, I think that's fine with me.
I just want to make the point that some stayed loyal to our Buckeyes and believed in them. That's all. But listen, Alabama and Nick Saban have dealt with this for years. I know he's not there anymore, but his coordinators fled after every season, basically. That's what happens in college. You're successful, you get a shot at a head coaching position at another program or maybe something in the pros. We are the university as one of the biggest schools in football. It's what we're going to have to deal with, and how we deal with that will ultimately dictate how successful we all are on the field, but I think we'll be just fine.
Yeah. I think we all maintained our fandom, but you maintained hope and belief when we were a little shaken. So again, kudos on that.
Noah had us killing Tennessee too.
Hey, I was all faith for the rest of the ride, man. After the loss to Michigan, I was all faith for the rest of the ride because I thought Ryan Day was going to coach his ass off to keep his job, and he did just that. So here we are now, right?
Listen, John, I'm sorry. Until our next loss or next season, we'll decide. You're going to have to keep hearing this. So it'll end one day, but you have a ways to go.
You can be a fan of a team. You can be a fan of a team and pick against them. I picked against the Browns 17 times this year. I was right 14 times. So, let's add it all up.
Sing Rocky Top.
Rocky Top, Tennessee.
Where's that
guy,
man? Come on, let's keep moving. That's a great 30-second take. I think the Buckeyes are going to be fine. We all kind of agree. We'll see what we get. Before we get into our first topic, want to share some love for our sponsor. Yeah, I said it, sponsor. If you haven't heard, we have one. Hold those bottles up, boys. Our show is brought to you today by D&D Meadery. A little backstory. Two twin brothers, Derek and Dominic, right here, Madison, Ohio, rekindled the long-lost art of making mead. Now, I like dabbling in some home brewing myself, but this is way sweeter and smoother than anything I made at home. Perfect for dinner or after dinner. I know because the reason I don't have my bottle is because I drank it, but guys, you're welcome in advance. Valentine's Day is right around the corner, so this is your reminder. Go out, get your special somebody a little something. This is better than wine or beer. It's a little twist. My wife loved it. I loved it for the whole 15 minutes it lasted, and you will too. So if you go online and you order it, use the code @theofficeCLE. That's @the-office CLE. You get 5% off your order. If you buy two, which I would recommend because they go fast, you get a free shot glass too. So go support D&D Meadery. Go support your boys at The Office. Thank you guys for the sponsorship. Wanted to make sure we got that in. Now that we got the housekeeping out of the way, first topic, Myles Garrett saga continues, right, guys? As you probably saw, he's burning up Media Row at the Super Bowl. A lot of people are thinking this guy's doing this on purpose. He's trying to distance himself or piss people off on purpose to force the Browns' hand. We had an emergency board meeting at the office on Monday with this little brain trust to discuss the story just hours after it broke. There was exhaustion, confusion, pleading, anger, a boatload of F-bombs, and that was just Noah. We were all pretty lit. I think most of it was directed at the front office. But check out the episode if you missed it. But get things started, Noah. Give us your thoughts on what you've seen from Myles since our last conversation.
Yeah, man, it is ugly and messy, and it's only going to keep going that way. I know we're going to get into Media Row and some of the clips and all of that in a second here, but Myles Garrett says he wants to do this not messy and then goes and does 15 interviews during Super Bowl week and mentions one guy from Akron that you might have heard of. He's actually behind me as a Funko Pop if you look real hard. His name's Myles Garrett. LeBron James, who is a known traitor to the city of Cleveland, but has since been forgiven for
Whoa.
bringing a championship back. Hey, give me a second. He was known as a traitor. That is not a hot take.
No.
It's messy. It's going to keep being messy, and it will be messy until he is gone. Erik, what do you think, man?
My only question is, what are you doing, Myles? You make the announcement, everybody's kind of on your side. They go, this sucks, but we get it. The Browns are an organization in disarray, ownership down, nobody knows what's going on. We understand. Go chase your ring. Hopefully you get to a team kind of thing. But now the more he keeps talking, that tide is going to start to turn, and it already has started to turn against him. And I'm just thinking, what are you doing? I don't get it. Is the play to force the Browns' hand? I
That's
don't
what I
know.
think it is, exactly, because they came out and said they weren't going to trade him right after he said he wanted the trade. So now he's going to go be a dick about it until they trade him.
That's fine, but I mean, first of all, he's conflicting. He has conflicting messages himself because literally a month ago, he told reporters that the Browns are closer than you think to being good. So to all of a sudden flip that and say, you know what? We're nowhere near. I don't like the direction we're going. I don't know what that means. Maybe it means that the Browns confided in him, that they're planning to take a quarterback, not bring in a veteran guy. Obviously, cap space is an issue. I don't know, but to all of a sudden flip and now start giving these interviews, which we'll play some clips of, it's a little baffling to me. I got to be honest.
I want to hear the clips because my initial reaction to this piece of it, right? Now, there's a lot of pieces to dissect. There's what to make us to fancy, the rest of the front office, Myles Garrett and his time here, what we're going to do from here. So I want to conflate all my emotions into one take. But specifically in listening to what he said to Rich Eisen, going up and down Media Row, my initial reaction honestly was, why are people more mad now? He said he wanted out. He wrote a nice letter. 2 days later, he goes, yeah, the Washington Commanders are a team I'd like to play for. I didn't understand why people got pissed that he named a team because he told you he wanted out and the Commanders played in the NFC Championship. So
because it's about the way that he's doing it now. He got had the letter. The front office knows that he wants a trade. And now he's going to talk to Rich Eisen and Sports Illustrated. Yes, we'll get into the clips in a second. And I feel like we should at this point. It's the way he's going about it. I still am completely on his side. I would want the hell out of here too with how everything is looking and shaping up to be right now. But I totally get why people are pissed. Cleveland is a Cleveland against the world city just as much as Ohio is an Ohio against the world state. And it feels like he's turning the knife a little bit. He already stabbed us, and that's fine. We all accept the wound. But now he's just turning it a little bit more. He's on national sports media outlets talking about why the Browns suck. We're still protective of it.
Especially, he said he talked to LeBron. Did he learn nothing from that conversation? Did LeBron say, hey, maybe don't go on national media and talk about your intentions of leaving because it didn't really work out so well for me? It's just, like Noah said, he's just not doing it the right way now. And listen, I got to be honest, we can dig into this a little more, but you're a Cleveland Brown. You're under contract as a Cleveland Brown. I understand that you want to leave, and I don't blame you for it at all, but try to force this perfect scenario in that, you know, hey, I'd really like to go to Washington, or how about Detroit or the Bills or the Chiefs could probably use it. That's bullshit for me. You're not going to tell us who we're going to trade you to. That's where I start to get irritated.
I got you. I guess I'm just
we keep referencing this Commanders clip. Why don't we just play it real quick so that way the people who might not have seen it can see it, and then we can talk about that a little bit.
Would you like to go to the Commanders? Thought about it. Have you thought about the squads that you want to play for?
They need a pass rusher. I think that's something that they dearly miss down there in the playoffs and some of the big games. And I feel like I can fill that role, but you know that's a role that multiple teams need. And I feel like not only a pass rusher, but I think I'm the best defensive player in the game, and 100%. I feel like that's invaluable in itself.
Listen, I'm going to give you the most homer take from me that you've probably ever heard on this show.
He's
I like Myles
Garrett.
Noah. I think he's been a great player for us, except for 3 playoff games where he just completely disappeared. Overall, though, he's one of the best to play the position. But you're either with us or you're not. And the little smirks and the little laughter, like he's so giddy to get out of here. I'm not going to lie. It does piss me off.
You know what? I think that's a perfect transition for the Rich Eisen clip as well. I'd like for our viewers and you guys as well to pay attention to his facials while Rich Eisen asks the question. No, this isn't the LeBron clip everyone has seen about 40 times already. Taking this a little different route. Let me throw that up for you guys real quick.
What if question, but what if the Browns say no? We want you to stay. We want you to be part of this thing. We do believe in the plan that we have. We do believe that this plan will work. We do need you to help this plan work, and you do have 2 years left. Like, what if that happens, Myles?
I mean, it's possible. No, they could do that, but no, that's a little bit further down the line. I'm willing to look. I know things have changed, night by night, and I'm sure people are calling and hopefully making some tempting offers. But I'm grateful for my opportunity, and I know that recently. No one stuck to one team, seeing Luka. So, until
I don't. I wanted to hear you guys' take because I literally was confused as to why people in Cleveland were pissed. You guys made a good case as to why I'm understanding it. I think I'm on the other side of this coin. And give me a second to get it out here. Why I won't go long, but I just want to get my thought out. Or no, it was you, Erik, who said something about, didn't you talk to LeBron? And I think that's why his initial letter asking for a release was pretty well done. It was short to the point, thanked Cleveland, thanked the fans, want to go win a Super Bowl. I think we all were in agreement earlier this week, and we're still in agreement. It ain't going to happen here, at least anytime soon. Second, I think when LeBron left, Reggie Miller went online and said, you guys, Cleveland's acting like jilted lovers. And I was like, no, it was about the decision that you went on national TV to punk our city, and we get pissed. I can see why you guys are pissed. I'm not telling you not to be pissed, but I don't get as angry about the little smirks and the stuff. I mean, I think he's distancing himself. I think the Browns have a chance that they'll tell him to shut up and play because we're paying you and you're under contract, and he's trying to do what he can to force their hand without completely alienating the fan base and himself. Was the smirk a little much? Yeah, like when Cleveland gets pushed out of the view for other cities and other better opportunities, we tend to get pissed. But to me, this is much to do about nothing. Myles Garrett said 2 days ago, I've tried. I want out of Cleveland. I'm sick of this shit because I want a chance to win. Thank you to the fans for a great time. All he's done since then is name contenders that he wants to go to. If I ask you guys, if Myles wants to play for a contender, name 5 places to go. You would have said Kansas City, Buffalo, Washington, and Philadelphia too. So I don't get why he's wrong.
That's not his job, though. And Erik, I'm going to correct both of us because we both had the misconception. He does not have a no trade clause. He has no say where he goes.
Yeah.
He can trade his ass to the New England Patriots and tell him to kick rocks. So him going in the media and trying to be like, well, I want it kind of this way. I don't care what you want. I want 3 first-round picks. I want maybe a quarterback. And I want you to shut the hell up.
Well, can I check you on one thing there? Because I completely agree with you. The only thing that scares me is, let's say we do trade. Let's say Jacksonville says, we'll give you our next 4 first-round picks. I know that won't happen, but let's just pretend, right? The problem is, he is under no obligation to sign an extension. So he just plays out 2 years in Jacksonville, and then all of a sudden we see him on the Ravens. So it would be a good thing for him to go to a place where he signs an extension, in my opinion. At the same time, though, I completely agree with you. We're going to get as much value, if we're going to trade you, we're going to get as much value as we possibly can to try to handcuff us and say, hey, there's like 4 teams I want to go to. Well, good for you. I won $1 million. We don't always get what we want. So, yeah.
I guess my question. Sorry, Erik, go ahead.
No, go on.
My question would be to both of you guys, not so much that you have bad takes. We disagree, but that's okay because this isn't a what's right and wrong. It's a feely thing. So there's not like I'm going to text you in 3 weeks when I get proven right? We're just talking through things. But Noah, you've in the last 2 weeks on this podcast said in a fight between millionaires and billionaires, I picked the millionaires. And we both said on Monday when Myles made this announcement, you can't fault him for wanting to leave a sinking ship in a terrible organization and wanting to try to win a Super Bowl. So what did he do or say specifically in these interviews for you to go from, I support Myles and the millionaire versus the billionaire and a man who wants to leave a legacy that says has a Super Bowl in it, he can't do it in Cleveland, to fuck this guy, he's an asshole, just because he named some teams and had a smirk on the Rich Eisen show?
Yeah, to be completely clear, right? I'm going to start it like this. You see this script on my hat? You see this across my shirt? Do you want me to pull out my Cleveland Guardian tattoo on my chest? At the end of the day, it is Cleveland over everyone. And this is the point I was making off the top, that that's how the city is. Well, when you go to Media Row and you make the Cleveland Browns look even worse and make it look like no one should ever want to go there because it's a dysfunctional mess. Yes, we know it, but we still root for the team. Erik's got a jersey on. I have Browns merch on. You have a Cleveland shirt. I know it's not a Browns shirt.
On purpose, because I'm pissed at the organization way worse than Myles. We'll talk about that in a minute.
He's making a good point because, yeah, I am wearing an actual Myles Garrett jersey because I thought maybe it's one of the last times I can wear it. But you notice what it says on the front? It says Browns. It doesn't say Garrett's. His name's on the back for a reason, and no one player is bigger than the team. Noah's absolutely right. We've lived with this dysfunction. Can we turn it around? I think we can. We were a playoff team just a year ago, but that's not really the point. How he's doing it is more so what it's about than what he's doing.
And I want to be clear too. I want to be clear too, real quick, John, that it's not fuck Myles Garrett, because I still understand his situation and I still understand him going, and he didn't do a big ESPN, the decision, what LeBron did, but he's still going about it in a way that now rubs the fans the wrong way. And I understand there's fans way more upset than me, why they're upset. I totally get it now. Well,
I think if we can say as Cleveland fans where you have a little bit of an inferiority complex and we're really high strung and that's why it pissed us off, I'm fine with that. I've been the same way before. I was just like, man, this is a real paradigm shift in 2 days from I wouldn't want to play for this shitty team either, to what is he doing? So, but your context has helped. But question for you, and I think we have a clip of this too. Now, 2 days ago, G. Bush, former 92.3, the fan personality, dropped a 45-minute tell-all. Started 5 years ago. It spanned Baker's tenure, talked about Mason Rudolph and the helmet incident, the support he didn't get. Well, they hit on OBJ, Deshaun's acquisition. They basically painted the Browns front office as incapable of fielding a contender, and of Stefanski as an aloof, disorganized Neanderthal making whimsical decisions as he goes. Oh, you recruited you. I'm going to call plays. I'm not going to call plays. You're the quarterback. Now you're the quarterback. DTR didn't even know he was starting. Does any of that mitigate your feelings towards Myles? Because I got to be honest with you guys. If I was in this guy's shoes, I make the same decision to make the same moves. And maybe I get eviscerated for a few weeks. And then this time next year, all's well that ends well. He'll go in our Ring of Honor. He'll probably go in the Hall of Fame as a Brown. But does anything that G. Bush put out there make you feel differently about the conversation we had so far?
No, again, it's about how he's doing it. Listen, your football team is your family, and I get it. We're dysfunctional. A lot of that stuff should stay behind closed doors. I'm under no illusion. I think that G. Bush had inside information from some of Garrett's people, and I think Myles gave the green light to finally put that out, and that's why we're hearing it now. It shouldn't be a war of words right now. The Browns haven't said anything against Garrett. All they've said is we have no intention of trading him. He's trying to force his hand and play his role in the media. I don't love it. I would have rooted for that. If he just said, I want to trade, I get it, coming out publicly like that. I want to go play for a contender. We trade him for the Lions. I would have been rooting for the guy. Go win a Super Bowl. You've been nothing but love to Cleveland. But now, you're trying to hurt our organization on the way out. That's not acceptable to me. So if that's the case, I mean, listen, now I want him to go to a team, and I can't wait to watch them lose. I hope he goes to the Commanders and they really regress, because they're not going to get the same thing out of Jaden Daniels next year. It's just irking me in a way that I didn't think it would, because I am on Myles' side and I understand his viewpoint, but now trying to drag us on his way out, it's childlike. And listen, this is a guy, I don't want to get too far into his performance. I think he's incredible, but he's also a guy that takes off games, takes off plays, didn't do shit in the 3 playoff games that we had. I think he lacks some maturity here.
I would disagree with you about the taking off plays and that kind of thing, but I'm going to concede that because we could go on a 20-minute rabbit hole. I do want to agree with you on the fact, maybe on the maturity part a little bit, because one of my key notes from this whole G. Bush expose, if you will, was Myles seems hard to get along with. He got mad at Baker, then he got mad at Deshaun after 1 year of up and down play. And yes, I know we're all in hindsight's 2020. Yeah, he was right. Okay. But at the time, he was part of the reason we kind of went towards the direction of making a Deshaun Watson move, because he wanted a star quarterback that wasn't Baker Mayfield. There's so much little nuance here that it just made me think it kind of seems like this guy is hard to get along with. And
I agree that
I don't think that was the point of the Bush video at all, but that's what I thought of listening to it. And real quick, just so you guys know too, it's in the bio down below. If you are watching on YouTube, you should go check it out. It is worth every minute of that 45 minutes. Go ahead, John.
No, he does a good job. I agree. Lost my train of thought on the first piece, but the question I wanted to ask you guys is this. You both made statements similar to, we're still on Myles' side of the I would do the same thing argument, but why are you dragging Cleveland? And my question is this, because I don't have a good answer. If you know you have 2 years left on your contract and you want to get the hell out of Cleveland, what else could he do to force the Browns' hand other than what he's doing now? Like, how does he get out of the contract to force the trade if he doesn't do a little TV spot here, radio spot there, tell people why I'm pissed off, to kind of like, you got to get the Browns to say, are we going to bring this guy back next year? And they weren't there. If he goes, yeah, I love Cleveland, I love the organization, this is my second home, I've been here my whole career, but I got to find some greener grass. I hope they can trade me, but if they don't, I'll be ready to go as soon as training camp gets here. They're not going to trade him.
That's a valid point, and I'll give you, I'll concede that for sure, because that's the only way these superstar athletes can really push the envelope. Yeah. But at the same time, there's still a way that shitty. You could, you could not be as shitty about it.
Yeah, I get
it. No, he keeps doing what he did in the first place. He put out that nice letter, and you keep doing that. You say, listen, I haven't heard anything. I want to reiterate that I want to be somewhere else. I want to go chase greatness in a Super Bowl. I haven't heard anything yet. The Browns said that they're not willing to trade me, but this isn't a request. This is something that I want done. You don't have to bring up every little, like, he's a toddler throwing his toys out of the pram. Like, you don't need to bring, you know, in 2015, the custodian looked at me in a weird way, and I really thought he didn't like me, and that's just another reason I want out of the Browns organization. That's what he's doing. He's a little child in the corner playing with his dinosaurs. Like, be a man, and you don't have to talk down about your current employer. It's not former. It's still your current employer.
That's funny as shit, because I did get a sense of that. I'm on Team Myles overall for how he's handling it. Could you do better? Yes. I'd give him a B or B minus. He could be a little better.
Give him a C minus at max, but okay.
That's fair. I don't think he's dragging the city just because he's putting a little fire to the Browns' feet. But, bro, Myles Garrett looks like he's real hard to get along with. Like, if you look and go, Deshaun's the problem, Baker's the problem, Baker's wife is the problem, her social media was the problem, Odell Beckham's use of social media that was different than Emily Mayfield's was the problem. And
are you referring to the G. Bush video again? I take it.
Yeah. If you point at 38 things and go, they're all the problem, not me, you're the problem. Newsflash.
100%.
In life in general. Like, it's not everybody else's fault. He had umbrage with, and they talked about Jadeveon Clowney and Okunjobi. Every defensive tackle and defensive end they brought in here to try to play with him either wasn't good enough, or they said they didn't even talk to Jadeveon Clowney. That sounds like a Myles Garrett issue.
Exactly. That was the next point I was going to bring up too, is we bring in these running mates, and yes, they're not I can't even think of a good Batman and Robin duo to point out. Nick Bosa and Joey Bosa. I don't know.
Well, they
And
don't
you
play
aren't even
together,
talking to
but
that guy? That's the first thing that came to my head. I know they don't play together. But you're not even talking to the guy? Like, I get that it's a job and you don't need to, but, like, there's people you don't like at work that you still talk to. Like, they weren't even on speaking terms and they're on the same position group?
I have a whole
Noah,
podcast
you know
with
better.
2 people I didn't like at work.
Oh, here we go.
Noah, you know better than anybody, especially in the same unit together. Those are your brothers. You're going to war with each other every single game. So it's a little more than just coworkers. And I get it. It's different when you get to the professional level. But to completely not talk to a guy in your same unit that you're watching film with, you're spending the majority of your time with, it's just weird more than anything.
There was a lot of stuff in this G. Bush video that really just made me scratch my head and think back on some of the history and some of the stuff that we saw play out and kind of almost flip it on its head. Like, none of it's surprising, right? But it kind of flips it on its head how much more out of favor Baker Mayfield fell in Cleveland, right? I think that is a huge point here. I've always been a proponent of it was time to move on from him, but it was really time for us to move on from him, it seems like now, in terms of some of the stuff that was exposed in this Garrett Bush video. And we won't go down that rabbit hole. This is about Myles. I just hope we can get the best compensation for this guy as possible and move on. I think we need to just accept it. I've seen a lot of people saying, well, they might hold out for another year. I've seen big YouTubers, I've seen small X accounts say this kind of thing. I am firmly on the side of let's rip this Band-Aid off. It doesn't have to be today, the next day, the day after that, but around NFL draft time, maybe after NFL draft time, whatever that looks like, it's time to move on. Let's get this over with instead of continuously. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, especially now knowing you corrected that he doesn't have a no trade clause. Yeah, just get as much as you can. I don't care where he ends up. Get as much as you can. And if I could just give one piece of advice to Myles Garrett, stop acting like the jilted ex-lover. Stop, like, you don't have to bring up every little fight in the relationship now that you want it to be over. Like, we both need to move on, granted, but come on, man. You look bad, bro.
It does look bad.
I want to ask one quick
out the door. Sorry, go ahead, Noah.
I want to ask one quick question. I'm sorry, John. Do you guys think that obviously the moving on to greener pastures, going to compete for a Super Bowl is a talking point, but how much of this do you think, especially knowing that there's a no trade clause here, is he just wants to change his scenery? He's had enough of the Browns shit for 8 years.
Wait. There's no trade clause.
Yeah, there's no trade clause.
Oh, okay, yeah. I thought you said that, knowing that there's a no trade clause, and I was like, wait a minute.
Okay, regardless, yeah, there is no trade clause. Do you think it's more so as much of a change of scenery thing as it is I want to go compete for a Super Bowl?
Yes, I think he wants to compete for a Super Bowl. I think he's made more money than God, and he'll ever know what to do with. And I think he honestly wants to compete. We've watched Myles Garrett. We've cheered for him. We've seen his character in and out of the community and doing all these other things. I don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater at the end of a relationship because it was sour in the last few minutes and forget what he's meant to us as fans and to us as the city since he was drafted. He's a remarkable human. He flipped a car, but he's pretty much stayed out of trouble. He does the quarterback tombstone thing in his yard. He's good to kids. He does charity. He's giving away millions of dollars. And he said, I have enough money. I want to play for a Super Bowl. I take him at his word because I don't think he's an overt liar, because there's other ways to go about this if you just want out, i.e. Jimmy Butler and everything in between. I want to hear what Erik has to say for sure, but no, I don't. I take him at his word.
He's not full Jimmy Butler yet.
He's not close.
He's starting.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying if he just wants out and doesn't give a shit about championships and it's about money, you go Jimmy Butler. He's not doing that.
I'm going to disagree with you. And I'm going to tell you something. We'll call it inside sources. I don't have any sources. I'm just making this up. But
it's like, what?
Here's what I think happened. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. I think he tried to pull a LeBron. Here's what I mean by that. I think what happened is he went in those meetings with the Browns. I think he intended to stay. Again, it doesn't make any sense that just a few short weeks ago he said that we're closer than you think personnel wise. We're closer than you think to being good. So a guy that says that in January, all of a sudden in February, I hate the direction it's going, blah, blah, blah. What I think happened, I think he wanted to be LeBron. I think he wanted to be in on the decisions. And I think management, Andrew Barry, made it very clear that you're not the GM. We love you, and I do think we take him for granted. We love you, but you're not that guy. We're going to make roster decisions. Step back into your lane. I think that pissed him off. I think his child came out, and I think everything we see now is a result of that.
It's interesting.
But you don't think he wants
basically
to win
shouted
Super
out
Bowl?
Tim's comment word for word right there.
No, I do think that he wants to win Super Bowls. Who doesn't? Everyone that enters the league, every kid, I mean, hell, the three of us as a kid throwing around the football pretends we're in the Super Bowl, throwing that last touchdown pass. But I think he was content, and then he wants to be the starlet more so than he is, and I think he got angry. And I think everything we see is a result of that anger.
I don't know if you're right or wrong, but I love your point because it makes me think. I will say that if he thought he was LeBron, he overplayed his hand because LeBron won. We went to an
That's a good
NBA
point.
Finals with LeBron, and we went to a shit ton of playoffs. We owned the Wizards in the first round. That was almost a running joke how Gilbert Arenas and Caron Butler and those days. I'm getting
Don't
nostalgic.
forget
thinking about it.
Toronto. We own
Yeah.
them. Listen,
Yeah.
I could be completely off base, but the everything just seems a little strange and doesn't add up. The fact that he absolutely loved being here, and again, a month ago thought that the roster we could be close, and all of a sudden that changes. But more so than that, all the little things that came out in the G. Bush video. He was upset about Baker and his wife. He was upset about him not getting backing over the supposed alleged racial comments by Mason Rudolph. Each little tick that we haven't heard a single ounce of until this point. You could say on the one hand, well, he was being a professional, so nothing came out. He didn't want to show those gripes. But now all of a sudden you hear like the 10 things over the past 8 years. I don't know. I'm just not buying it.
Just one point. I
fair,
want to avoid what Noah avoided and not go down a rabbit hole. I think there's something to the Mason Rudolph thing. As a black kid who played hockey, there's things that happen in those situations where you can kind of tell they didn't disavow it. I don't want to go too deep on it because there were a million other examples to choose from. You just chose one, and I think there's some truth to some of the stuff. But yeah, go ahead, Noah.
No, I agree with you too. Just on the record, there's no way, and I've always been of the belief system that Mason Rudolph said something he flat out should not have said.
But you think guys like Cam Hayward would have backed him? They were right there. You
I don't
think
think
they
they
would have
heard
heard a
him.
racial slur
You back your teammate. Yeah, I don't.
over that?
But you also
No,
don't
you
know.
don't know.
You don't know if they heard it. We're going down a rabbit hole now.
Yeah, that's why I said I don't want to. Yeah.
To tie it back in to the whole G. Bush thing, Erik, I agree with you that it is really weird that a month ago he was like, we're closer than we think. We're going to have a good meeting. We're going to figure this out. I want to know the direction. Yes, he alluded to maybe wanting to trade then. But he was positive about Cleveland. Now we are watching him drag us in the middle of Las Vegas right now. The G. Bush thing does show to me that he was trying to be as a professional for as long as he can. And it has now hit a point where he has seen the Browns try with two different quarterbacks, fail both times, and he isn't getting any younger. The good thing about all of this is that Myles is young. He's still young and in his prime. It's not like he's a 34-year-old Myles Garrett and Von Miller Buffalo situation. We can get the absolute most out of this guy still right now.
Yeah.
What that'll be remains to be seen. But that's
So I want to get us to I know we got to get out for commercial break. Want to wrap this up. One thing you said, Noah, yeah, you're being kind to say he's been through two quarterbacks. He's been through two main quarterbacks. I think he's been through 16 actual quarterbacks.
Side options, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what?
Go ahead, Eddie.
I just want to ask, because you said that we could still get something out of him. I want to know the percentage that you guys put it at that he remains a Cleveland Brown.
I was going to ask the same thing. I have it at like 2% now.
Ooh.
2, wow.
I say
No
20.
faith.
20 to 25.
I'm right around that 20% mark as well. I was just curious though.
So the
We
last
all
thing
dropped just from Monday to here, by the way. I think I was at 20 and you guys were at like 30 or 40 or something like that. And now
yeah,
I'm at 2 and you guys are at 20.
Yeah, I think I said 25 to 30, and now I'm at 20-ish. Yeah, 20, 25. Yeah, it's going down. But that's because of some of the stuff he did. I will say this one last thing, that the point that came out. I think people window dress and they say what they have to say. Playing in the NFL is playing politics to a certain regard, and I don't want to fault the guy for saying we're closer than you think, and then turning around and saying he wants a trade. If I said, Erik, do you think at the station that you and Noah can do special things together and be productive for the next 2 years? You would say yes. And then if I said, Erik, I'm going to give you $380,000 a year with stock options to come join my company, you'd be like, bye, Noah. It's been real. It doesn't mean you didn't mean it when you said it.
It's a fair point. It's like the college coach saying, I have no intentions of leaving. And then, of course,
Correct.
yeah, that's a fair point.
Yeah. Like, wait, you think Bill Belichick is going to play out his contract in North Carolina? Spoiler alert. Any last words before we wrap this one? This has been a great conversation.
It's been a good one, boys.
All right, we're going to take
I just want to reiterate, please do not spend your money. I know this has mainly been about Myles, but do not spend your money with the Cleveland Browns. Do not buy season tickets. Do not buy merch. Do not buy into the stadium crap that I'm sure we're going to hear more about. Like, none of that, because at the end of the day, as much as we want to say, okay, Myles did a turnaround, or however we feel, this is still laid at the feet of ownership and the Deshaun Watson trade. If not for that trade, things are probably hunky-dory in Cleveland right now. That has absolutely ruined this organization for God knows how many years. Do not give them your money.
I will +1 that. I just told Erik before we got on air, the next thing that I buy is going to be at least a Browns AFC North Championship T-shirt of some sort. I am not, or it's going to say Kosar Metcalf on the back. You can forget about it. And even then, I don't know. I'm pissed too.
Seriously, dude. And I will say, though, if the Cleveland Browns want to become our secondary sponsor and send us a bunch of gear, totally cool. You guys can do that. But I'm not going to pay you anything. I think
we burnt that bridge like Myles did in Media Row. But
all right, let's have that be the last word. We're going to get out of here, pay a couple bills. But you're listening to At the Office, so we'll be right back after this commercial break. Hey, everybody, we're back at the office. Before we go on, I want to remind you, you're listening to a podcast. Support us if you like what you hear. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, smash the download if you're doing the audio-only thing. Also, drop us a comment, whether you're streaming live or not. We love hearing from you. We text about it throughout the week. Might even use some of your content on one of the shows. You never know. Also, check out our merch store, where you, too, can own this great swag. And a last shout out to Fans First Sports Network for supporting us and everything that we do. We appreciate you as well. Reminder, you can join us. The number's down at the bottom, 216-260-3433. Text or call. Send us a comment, YouTube, Facebook, or X. But with that, gentlemen, want to shift gears out of the NFL, get a basketball mindset on. The other crazy news that's happened since the last time we talked is the NBA trade deadline is trade deadlining. The Mavericks traded Luka for AD. This one doesn't need much introduction because it almost broke the internet. And then Kyle Kuzma's in Milwaukee. Jimmy Buckets is now a Golden State Warrior. De'Aaron Fox is going to the Spurs to play with Wemby. I didn't even know about some of these trades until we got on 15 minutes before to talk about what we're going to talk about. Noah, I let you go first last time. What in God's name is going on with this year's NBA trade deadline?
I have no idea. This is the craziest trade deadline I can remember. Maybe they were crazier. I don't think so. I really want to jump in on the Luka trade because the entire league is scratching their heads, and there's theories of why he was traded. So I want to break down a couple theories and why I think he was traded, because that was by far the craziest one of all. Although with Jimmy Butler, I mean, there's so much going on. KD might be on the move. We know that, that relationship in Phoenix is rather tenuous. But let's start with Luka, right? Because sending Luka to the Lakers for Anthony Davis, I think blew everybody's mind. It blew the players' minds. LeBron had no idea. No one knew that this was happening. So theory number one is that Luka is an injury risk. We know that he's sitting out some games this year. I don't think this is really credible, honestly, because he played the most minutes in the finals last year. So I'm not buying that. The fact that he played 70 games last year, 22 games in the finals, it just doesn't make sense for me that it's an injury risk, especially when you traded him for Anthony Davis, who I believe is already sitting out because of like back strain or something like that.
That's a good point.
So yeah, maybe it is the first time that Luka has missed double-digit games consecutively for an injury in his career, but that's not a reason to trade a guy. So I'm cutting that theory out. No way, right? Second theory is that Luka only has a few years on his contract. Maybe they thought that he was a flight risk. Don't think that's the case either. It doesn't make a lot of sense because they kind of knew that.
Erik, I don't want to mess up your take, but we have a live breaking news: Darius Garland, buzzer beater, game winner against the Pistons right now. So
Jesus Christ! I thought you meant
you were going to say
on the trade. I did too.
I'm like, bro, you can't do
Darius
that to
Garland
us right now.
Cam Reddish. No, go ahead.
Cam Reddish. No, I can't.
The only thing I'll say to that is that we shouldn't need a buzzer beater to beat the freaking Pistons, but that's another.
Mitchell was out tonight.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
A lot of rest.
Anyway, where was I? I don't think Luka was a flight risk. He's a defensive liability. That's a dumb one. Let's not even spend any time on that theory. The biggest theory the other one is that he's too expensive. Again, I don't buy it. The biggest theory is that the Mavs are plotting a move to Las Vegas. That's the key here, and that's what I think is going on. So to walk it back a little bit, Mark Cuban is no longer majority owner of the Mavs. He sold most of his stake. He didn't even know that this trade was going down, by the way. He is a minority owner still, but he had no idea. The Adelsons of Las Vegas, of the casino Adelsons, own the majority of this team.
Wow.
Las Vegas is the hotbed right now if you're trying to move a franchise. I think that's what's going on. Listen, the longtime Dallas attorney thinks so as well. His name's Chris Cratoli, something like that. I don't know.
Question, because I want you to, if you could work it into your take, how does trading Luka position them for a move to Vegas?
Well, it's a good question. It's because that they need to tank in order to make that a possibility. Gotcha. If they're a viable team heading to the finals, the NBA is not going to allow that move to go through. Listen, Adam Silva wants a team in Las Vegas. Let's not pull any punches about it. It's who's going to get that first. Dallas is a decent market right now for a team, and they do well. When that starts to change, you start softening the landing spot a bit more, so to speak. So
I wonder about that every time we. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Just I wonder about that one piece of the argument every time we talk. There's New York, LA, and then I believe DFW is next, right before Chicago as the largest media market. So maybe I have that flipped. So how are you going to move a team from Dallas based on attendance? Even if they stink, they're going to pull.
Well, all they need to do is get that vote. But here's the piece that I think is really interesting.
Vote, yeah.
Gotcha.
I think the ownership would be happy to stay in Dallas, except for the fact that they've been trying to push to legalize sports gambling in Texas. Texas, you cannot gamble on sports at all. It has no shot to be passed. Texas is headstrong with their government in not getting sports gambling. So they're losing out on a ton of money just on the sports gambling side, and that's a massive piece of it. Listen, I think the threat of moving to Vegas is probably better than actually moving to Vegas. You say, hey, we're trading Luka. We do. We're preparing this move. Bring in sports gambling or you're going to lose us. So it might just be a play to get that into the state. But either way, I think it's a higher level politic game going on than trying to get better as a team. And their GM is clueless. Jason Kidd's clueless. I mean, everyone around, they just look so uncomfortable.
You are way more well researched on this than I was expecting. That is so interesting to me. Like you blew my mind on live at the office content. I don't know.
I was listening too. I didn't say shit except like, wait, how do you know that? Where'd you get that? I was like,
yeah, word. Okay. Yeah. I'm here.
Well,
no,
thank you guys.
I think that makes perfect sense.
I wasn't trying to put you on the spot. I was like genuinely intrigued. I'm like, oh shit, he's got scoop. Let me get it. Stuff's happening fast.
I'm trying to take my job serious over here, you know? I don't want you guys to cut me.
I had the best take chain for Monday. I want to take it off already and give it to Erik for the well-researched portion of this Luka Doncic trade. It doesn't surprise me at all.
Garrett stuff too.
Right. It doesn't surprise me that if this is the actual reason why all of this is going on, because, you know, business at the end of the day is a big game, right? And if, you know, losing Luka, but you still bring a star in who's a friend of your other stars anyway, who cares? I get what's going on. It's just so interesting to me. When sports betting becomes legal in Texas, Erik deserves to win something because he called it right here. What is it? Wednesday, February 5th, 2025 on At the Office, our little sports show that we do.
Yeah. Or when the Mavericks move to Vegas, double down, one or the other, right?
We'll see. Time tells for all.
Bro, you covered everything I was going to say with one exception. I was going to say something about Luka Doncic's weight being part of the issue and them not being able to keep him in the gym. He's got a Shaq mentality where you're God's gift to basketball when you're out of shape. So think about what you could do if you gave a shit and worked out and cut 25 pounds. He just won't do it. Charles Barkley, some of the other guys had the same issue, but that's really the only thing you didn't already hit on. So let me throw a wrinkle in there. Luka, AD, Kuzma, Jimmy Buckets, De'Aaron Fox with Wemby. There's all these pieces moving to all these contenders. What about our Cavs? They're 40-10. They look great when they don't play really good teams, and then they're like, okay, against the Celtics and the Thunder, and they seem to get themselves in like 30-point holes on the regular. Usually they crawl out, but long story short is, in watching the Cavs play elite talent, I feel like there's a gap that we're going to have to get over or bridge if we're going to win a championship, because we don't really need to fix a 40-10 team. So I don't want to mess up the chemistry. I like what they're doing. The question is, what should our Cleveland Cavaliers be looking to do at this deadline? Noah, why don't you get us started?
Most realistic option before I get into any of this stuff I'm about to spew on live at the office. They're most likely going to be members of the buyout market, try to find a rebounder to come in and fill the hole that is honestly gaping when George Niang has to come in and play the floor. That's the biggest reason I think we lost that Celtics game yesterday, is because when we have Niang in there and Mobley has to shift down to the 5, we just don't have the rebounding prowess to go against what they have when they have Kristaps out there and some of their backup bigs and that kind of thing. And the goal right now in terms of team construction in my mind is the Celtics are our only roadblock. We've looked good against OKC. We've lost to OKC, don't get me wrong, but getting past the Celtics, all bets are off in terms of the finals at that point. So in my mind, that's what's going on. That being said, do we want to be a little splashy? Of course we want to be a little splashy. It wouldn't be sports talk without it, man. So you know what I want? I want a former Cleveland Cavalier. I want a former Cleveland Cavalier. I want a former NBA champion, a big man with spacing ability and the ability to rebound the rock like no other. Kevin Love. George Niang, 2 second-round picks. Get her done. There'd have to be a couple other players thrown in there in terms of the back end just to make the cap work. But I love the idea of Kevin Love coming in here to fit that rebounding backup big role that we need at the 4. He has the shooting ability of George Niang and then some. I think he makes a lot of sense, man.
It's not an awful take, if I'm being 100% honest. If we look at this roster, and then you look at this roster and get rid of one of the 12, 13, 14, 15 guys, and add Kevin Love, are we a better team? Yes. Do we beat the Celtics is what I'm unsure of. And watching the game, I like the take, Noah. The other guy that I came up with is going to be equally as controversial, and I want to get your thoughts because I'm not even sold on it myself. But watching the game last night, we lacked two key elements. Rebounding, we got killed. They kept getting offensive rebounds and second and third and fourth shots at the rim, which against any team is going to be tough. Against the Celtics, it's like good night. It's a death sentence. And defense, if you know they play good defense, your shooting may suffer. You need to be able to stop them at the other end of the floor. Part of me thinks this is gross. Part of me thinks it's a great idea. I'm not even fully there yet. But if you replace Isaac Okoro with Ben Simmons, is this team better than it is now in the areas we need to be better to compete and beat the Celtics?
So let me raise you one real quick because
his salary is bad. That's another issue. But just on talent, what we need. Yeah, go ahead.
Ben Simmons is a roster fit for sure. He's floated around a bunch in terms of the Cleveland Cavaliers and potential acquisition. But I think Ben Simmons is going to hit the buyout market. So I don't think we have to worry about dealing one of our pieces, especially I value Isaac Okoro highly for his defensive prowess and what he can do behind the arc most of the time, right? He isn't always on, but I do value Isaac Okoro's role, whether it be off the bench or coming in to start at the three from time to time, depending on defensive matchups. I'm all for Ben Simmons to be a Cleveland Cavalier if he's in the buyout market after he gets cut and we can just sign him for whatever money we want to. So I don't think your take's wrong. I think your take doesn't require a trade to happen.
Fair enough.
I think that
what say you? Our well-researched colleague, he's going to give another dissertation on this. Get your notepad, Noah.
Well, first of all, my sources are telling me that the biggest name that they're willing to move in any potential trade would be Karis LeVert. That said, I don't think that a move happens. I agree with Noah that I think whatever we do happens in the buyout market. Same thing we did last year. Altman didn't make any moves at the deadline, but we picked up in the buyout. That said, there are two names that have been floated recently, and that's DeAndre Hunter, the Hawks forward, along with the Nets forward Cam Johnson. I think they both make sense in our team. Cam probably a little more so from a salary standpoint. I think he's around like $35 million a year, something like that. I just don't see the Cavs making any splashy moves. Here's the thing. I've come around on this Cavs team much more than back when we started talking about this way back at the beginning of the season. When we're healthy, we can hang with anybody. I think our focus needs to be on getting healthy, because the lack of depth is what's killing us right now. Lack of depth certainly in our big men. I wouldn't mind picking somebody up there. The Kevin Love move I don't really like because our offensive efficiency and what we've done and why our offense is so good this year is we've really increased the pace, and Love doesn't really fit into that, in my opinion, anymore. He's a little too old to get up and down the floor like what we need in this offense that we're running under Atkinson. I love Kevin Love. I got his bobblehead up there behind me, but I just don't think he fits in what we're trying to do on offense. I agree with what you guys are saying, though. I mean, we need depth at that position. I'm just not sure he's the answer, but I don't think they're going to make a move. I would be pretty surprised. And I'm just going to throw a curveball out there. The only way it happens is if the man himself says he wants out, but what if LeBron wants out and wants to come?
I don't want to hear that bullshit. I'm so good.
Whoa. Why is it bullshit?
If he wants out, I don't want to trade for LeBron. I'm just over we need LeBron to be anything mentality here in the city. And wait, what if LeBron goes to Cleveland? I'm sick of it. Let him go do what he wants to do. He already told Myles Garrett to leave. I'm just kidding on that point, right? But I'm just good on it. Unless he's coming in for the veterans minimum, John, you've said it before on the show. If he's coming in and he'll accept his role and not play le GM for the next 2 years, and we got to bring Bronny and Bryce, and Gloria's got to be a ref, and this, that, and the third.
Listen, it's
I don't want
controversial,
Corey
but you're
is
talking about
around.
a guy you could stick into the three that can facilitate. I mean, the stuff
Oh,
that
that's
LeBron
the thing.
does off the ball even is
Yeah,
just so far above everybody else. I think he could put us over the edge. The question, of course, is chemistry. Is a
that's
guy
where I'm
like
at with
Darius
Erik. Yeah,
who
I'm in the same
already
boat. I'm looking at this
was a
whole thing and I'm
yeah.
thinking, it's not a we need LeBron to win. It's a we need a three who can play a really good role, and LeBron's still a really good three, even if he's not Superman anymore. So if he accepts the role, I don't think it's bullshit. I think if LeBron comes and says, yeah, Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, the offense runs
That's
through
your
them, their
team.
guards anyway. I'm the next best option. I can play my role. I'll play good defense and I'll hit my shots when I'm open or drive and dunk it. The Cavs could be actually exceptionally dangerous with LeBron at the three.
And
Really
let's not
dangerous.
forget
So
one fine point on this. That's exactly what he wanted to do with Kyrie. He wanted to hand the keys off and be that guy, and Kyrie, he was already gone at that point.
So
So
can we get out of La La Land now? LeBron's not coming to Cleveland. Get it out of your guys' head. Can we get out of La La Land now? I want to propose a trade. So you brought up DeAndre Hunter, who is an actual name linked to the Cleveland Cavaliers, not us just being Cavs fans and being like, let's get LeBron again. Karis LeVert has been rumored in a deal for DeAndre Hunter. My thoughts. DeAndre, we give them Niang or Merrill. We give them Karis LeVert. We give them 2 to 3 seconds. Maybe you throw in that first round pick in 2031, whatever next first round we can throw. Are you taking that trade?
Say it one more time. I want to write something down.
DeAndre Hunter for, we'll just leave it at Niang, LeVert, 3 second-round picks.
3.
That's wild.
Second round picks? Who gives a fuck? It's the NBA.
But that's what I was
No,
going to say.
it's not that
14.
It's not that I value the picks. I'm not sure. I think we can get him for less than that.
Okay, 2 then. I wrote 2 down to start. I just wanted to be a little more, I don't know, proposition-y.
Karis LeVert's shooting 40+% from 3 this year. I just don't know that DeAndre is worth. Yeah, I agree with Gavin here. I prefer Cam Johnson. I'm just not sure that DeAndre is worth potentially messing up chemistry. At this point, that's what we have to worry about, in my opinion. This is a team that can beat anybody. We've seen it. They just need to get back to that.
I'll raise you one even better. DeAndre Hunter is childhood friends with the 6th man of the year, Ty Jerome. So I'm not worried about chemistry.
Is he? Is that true?
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't pull that out of my ass. That's true.
That's interesting.
I think I would do it, honestly, Noah. I'm a little worried about chemistry, but I also, you got a big 4, you got a starting 5. None of those people you mentioned are in it. If you have a chance to make your team better in the right direction at the right position, and you're trading a George Niang, or even almost an Isaac Okoro, or a Karis
LeVert. He said both in that scenario, didn't?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would do it. I would do it because it's 2 bench players, and you're getting somebody who's that high of a caliber. I mean, put it this way: when you look up and we go, "Oh my God, we made no moves at the trade deadline and we beat the Boston Celtics," is it because Karis LeVert had a good series? No, he's a good bench player, and I like him, and he's really honed his game since he got here. There is no shade to Karis; he's works his ass off. So does Niang. The minivan is one of my favorite players on this team. But if we're going to make a run at a championship and beat Boston, if it comes down to George Niang, we lose the series. I'm telling you that right now.
Can I do just one quick note? You guys are probably already aware, but Hunter was actually somebody that we nearly drafted in the first round in the 2019 draft.
Yeah. Yep. He has been tied to Cleveland for a while. I could see it going through. And I get your point on LeVert being 40% from 3. He has been cold lately ever since he came back from the injury. So part of my thought process here is maybe the Cavs are like, he's made his bed. Let's go get a solid. I mean, DeAndre is basically plug and play at the 3 if you wanted.
He's an upgrade for sure.
So
you're going to get increased scoring and you're going to get rebounding. And you guys already from the top said that that's what we need. And it's so frustrating. I don't know what's going on. Watching games, No, I agree. But watching games, it's so frustrating seeing guys not box out. Like very simple. Like guys are flying in to get that rebound. What's happening? This is basic basketball.
It's hard when you have the small ball lineup that we have to run off of the bench. When you have George Niang playing the 4, that's the problem right there.
That's a problem.
Mobley is still coming into his own, being a physical specimen. You know what I mean?
But they're not rebounding over our guys. You guys have played basketball. A small guy can rebound. You have the proper form. I'm saying they're just kind of standing there waiting for the ball to come to them.
Not against Al Horford and Kristaps Porzingis. Maybe against another shitty skinny guard, but Evan Mobley's not a banger down low, even though he has a good post game. And Jared Allen isn't as bit like Porzingis is going to be an issue. He was shooting like crap and missed all of his threes. He's the one. I think Jason Tatum's still a choke artist. I think Brown is one of the most underrated players in the league. He's the one you got to watch. But if you step back, let him beat you and shut everything else off, you're like, okay, how does this go bad? Tatum's going to choke. What? Kristaps Porzingis is a menace, bro. He played poorly in the game last night and still was getting his down low and going to, he's a problem. And the problem is not have an answer for it.
I know we beat them the last time before that game, but even when Porzingis isn't in there, they kill you beyond the arc. I mean,
yeah, they shoot well, but we shoot well. Guys. We shoot well too.
We do for sure, but
we have the best three-point team in the NBA, honestly, by percentage. Celtics take more, but we have a better percentage. We could do this for another 2 hours. We're flowing tonight, but I don't know if I don't know if all of our listeners and the people who are going to listen to this in the week to come would appreciate a 2-hour show. So I'm going to cut us there. Any very, very last 10-second thoughts on Cavs, trade deadline, Luka, AD before we get to hot takes and get out of here?
My hot take is Cavs related, so I'll leave it for that.
All I'll say is that I think it's kind of funny that the number one target for the Warriors was not Jimmy Butler. It was KD, and KD did not want that reunion.
Jesus. I didn't know that. That's interesting. I'll have to do some research after we get off. More food for thought. You're having quite a show tonight. Kudos, brother. All right, guys. Before we wrap up, let's end it like we started. It doesn't have to be 30 seconds, but give me your hot take. I think you started the NBA convo. So Noah, why don't you get us crack and tell us what you're thinking, Cavs?
Yeah, it's quick, simple, and easy. Us versus Boston in a 7-game series, regardless if we make a move or not. I take my boys in a 7-game series. I think they have the grit and determination to beat the Celtics. I think Jason Tatum is soft. He is a wannabe Kobe, and he is not that. And I take my boys. Let's go Cavs.
I love the Cavs. I do not think they're ready for Boston quite yet, but I love your optimism. A wannabe Kobe is hilarious. Erik, what's your hot take?
Not so spicy this time, but I am looking forward to, maybe more than most, the Cleveland Guardians season this year. The truck left officially. Spring training is going to be upon us soon. It makes me happy thinking about warm weather coming up, baseball being back, but I'm really excited to see Bieber back in action. I don't know what to expect. This is going to be a tale of whether or not our minor league system is up to snuff, honestly, and some of the moves we've talked about that have baffled us, but I'm still just so excited, and I'm really excited to see the stadium renovations as well. They're working literally night and day to get this thing done. So yeah, I'm getting excited for baseball season.
I'm excited for baseball too. Yeah.
Or Sunday, I should say, not the emergency meeting, the Sunday show with Matt. I was like, yeah, excited, even though we don't know what's going on, and literally basically word for word what you said. So
that's funny. Yeah. I'm going to make one bold prediction then, if we want to spice it up, and that will be that Ketchup will be crowned the champion this year in the hot dog derby races.
Love
Ketchup's my boy.
Team
My
catch up.
bold prediction is that the Dolans are going to trade Bieber and Ramirez for a fucking fungo bat and a box of Red Man chewing tobacco, and that you won't be excited by April. But I'm not going to go down that road. We got enough energy that's going in the wrong direction with the Myles combo. I'll let you have it until I get news to the contrary. My hot
got
take
me
is going back.
excited because I thought
you're
you were going to
allowed.
say that the Dolans are going to sell the team, and I'm like, I'm all for this. Like, let's go.
Oh my God, don't. That would be the shit. We're having an emergency board meeting for that instantly, and I'm just gonna get drunk with you guys. We're gonna be like, man, I can't wait. I don't even care who the
We're
enemy
gonna
is.
drink our D
With
and
D&D.
D, man. Gotta get the plug in. 5% off code at @the-office CLE.
Love it,
Love
brother. To wrap us up, my hot takes going back a little bit in the conversation. There's a lot of feeling and a lot of emotion around Myles Garrett. My hot take is that none of it's gonna matter. He is a unique talent. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He is one of my favorite players since he came to Cleveland. And I have also watched him go 1-15, 0-16, 3-14. And I don't know what it is about Myles, if it's the position or the defense or the scheme or the team, but I think multiple things can be true at once. We love him. He was great. We appreciated the time he was here. Hopefully he'll go in the Hall of Fame as a Brown. And we'll remember all of those sacks that he had. And at the exact same time, if you can turn him into multiple first-round picks and players, I think we're going to wake up and realize that maybe it worked out for everybody. Myles go to Detroit, compete, give us some draft picks in return. We turn the draft picks into actual talent. In 3 years, that we'll look up and go, hey, it's Myles. We love you, buddy. Now we're good because we got a quarterback and a wide receiver. Or maybe we'll blow it and screw it up like the Browns tend to do. But either way,
I like your optimism, man.
I don't think the Browns' one-loss total for the next 3 years changes significantly with or without Myles Garrett. Okay, Erik dove off screen for a minute, but we're out anyway. We're going to wrap it up, man. Thank you for joining us at the office. Don't forget to subscribe or hit the download button if you're listening to the audio-only version. Check us out on all social at the office Clee. Thank you to the First Fan Sports Network. Thank you to D&D Meadery. Get you guys a bottle. Don't forget your code. Have a great day, a great night. Go Cavs, go Browns, go Buckeyes, go Guardians. And until next time, stay up. Peace.